Hey guys, it's me, Rex King here. It's been 8 months since I have a really bad schedule. Well, I'm here with another Mesozoic podcast to do it as like a type of like coming back, like coming back to my roots, I guess you would say this. But we're doing like a kind of remake, but kind of like test pilot for like a relaunch. So I am gonna introduce you to our good old friend, SomeStupidSketchShowGuy.
Hi, what's up? Uh, I guess I'm back for this reboot slash revisit of myself.
Think of it
I
as
think,
more of like a round two, I guess, since a lot of things have changed in 2 years since the last interview.
yeah, round two, curtain call, sentimental review, a lot of things.
Right. So, I got a number of questions that I actually wrote down instead of like doing it randomly, like, what's the state of DinoTube? Like that shit.
Well, I mean, you do have at least one question kind of like that.
True, but it's more towards to you instead of like, oh, like asking every
Well, don't
single
give it
guest.
away. Let's just start.
Alright, so how's your day been so far?
My day has been all right. I had a 3.5 hour nap from like 12 o'clock to like 3. So that tells you a little bit about how productive I was. I mean, I was a little bit productive, but I am definitely procrastinating on a little bit of homework and stuff. But
Right,
I think I got it under control.
yeah, like, like, I sometimes procrastinate on, like, projects and shit, but, like, I always get
Oh,
them done.
really? You do, huh?
Dyna device would be like,
Yeah,
and
and a
almost a
lot of
year
other
since
things.
the third part. A lot of things that I can't name on top of my head that someone could probably do it. Someone's just gonna timestamp it like, oh, here's like
I
all the
could, I just don't
projects.
feel like it.
Someone else probably gonna do that. Anyways, so what kind of videos do you make on your channel?
Well, that is definitely a question with a lot of answers. I guess I make dinosaur videos, but I think the more specific answer is I make comedy videos pertaining to dinosaurs.
hmm
Sometimes I do news videos. Every once in a while, I actually get serious. But
hmm
most of my channel is dinosaur toys and comedy.
I mean, your name is literally some stupid sketch show guy.
Yeah.
Ac-
So that should tell you everything you need to know.
Actually, where did you get the name some stupid sketch show guy?
This was a question in the original interview, but I'll gladly answer it again. Um, it came from, well, it came from low self-esteem, which is why stupid is in the name. But the phrase sketch shows came from Monster Island Buddies, who was also one of my reasons for coming back. I thought after watching him that I could come back and make YouTube videos again after my song cover YouTube channel fell through. Um,
Oh god, your song
and
cover YouTube channel was so fucking cringe.
we know. A lot of my channel was cringe. But the big thing is that he once used in a channel trailer of his the phrase sketch show, and I liked how it sounded, so I decided to call myself the sketch show
Alright.
guy, even though I can't draw.
Now for question number, I guess, 3 or 4, sorry. What type of videos do you love making the most?
I think the videos that I've always been the most proud of on this YouTube channel that I actually sometimes catch myself rewatching are the ones that are longer, which is ironic considering that they take the most effort and I do less.
Hmm.
But it's always been the videos where I really genuinely put myself out there. Like, my opinion on every figure is one of my proudest shows, and I'm really glad that it's gotten as popular as it has because I feel like every episode in the last year has been has been made with love. Some of
Yeah,
my other popular
like you
videos,
got me and you like making I make the backgrounds, like I make the base edits and you just commentate over it. Like it's like a team effort, made of love for the community. As sweet and wholesome as that sounds.
Your wording was a little weird, but you are 100% right. Yes, you are very much the backbone of the My Opinion on Every Figure show by gathering all the figures. Sure, sometimes you miss one or two, but you're a human being, so I'm not going to hold it too far against you, except for maybe one or two funny jabs. But
I
it makes
like
making
the
those
Tyrannosaurus though. I guess I have a
or the
vendetta.
Safari or the Carnegie Dimetrodon or the Safari Acrocanthosaurus. Um, But I always look, but I do rewatch those episodes, and I still think, like, yeah, I liked how I said that. I think that joke was still funny.
Mhm.
You know, like, it's a video with actual layers, depth, not a quick shitpost or sketch show. Those are still funny, but, 30 seconds can only get you so
Right.
far.
Like, you can make like a good 30-second skit, but it will probably age the best compared to a long form video like the Dinogram video or the my opinion on every single figure.
Yeah, that does pretty much summarize it.
Mhm.
I'm also decently proud of my figure reviews. I know that's weird to say
Mhm.
because they are definitely a bit bland, but I just liked how I just liked being able to be calm and
Mhm.
semi-enthusiastic and like methodical with the reviews, and also stupid dinosaur comments. Although I don't like some of the jokes, I still think that it definitely had some of my best executed screwball comedy,
Right.
which is something I have a love-hate relationship with.
Which can kinda have
Backfire.
backfire on you, kinda bite you in the ass.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay, question number 5. What are some funny stories while filming your videos? Like, has there been any like odd encounters or like odd situations that you find yourself in while recording?
Okay. So the best stories I have are all have to do with my Dinosaur Archipelagos shorts because they're videos where I actually had to go out and I filmed in public parks. Or creeks,
Hmm.
like trails, stuff where people walk around every day. It's not like my backyard or somewhere secure. Um, so quite frequently, people will walk by and they'll see me squatting like a frog with my phone or camera, or whatever, and a little dinosaur toy. One time I was filming something and an old lady was like, "Who's winning?" And I didn't really know how to answer that. Um, Another funny story was that while I was filming a video or taking a picture, I don't actually remember, two of my classmates from high school were walking the trails. Luckily, I was actually below them down at the creek and they never noticed me. But then I did again many years later have the same thing happen to me while taking a photo. There was a couple of classmates walking the trail, and this time I actually went out of my way to say, "Hi, you remember me?" And I was actually very transparent about I'm taking pictures of dinosaurs on this rock.
Well,
They thought it was a little
at least you're open about your interests.
yeah, they thought it was a little weird, but I took pride in the fact that I was a lot more confident in myself and I wasn't
Hmm.
hiding anymore. That's kind of why those two stories kind of come together. And also another time for my not cancer, canceled Dinosaur Archipelago movie. While I was filming a scene, there was a lady walking her dog,
Hmm.
and she joked about how like you should do like a blooper where the dog eats everybody.
Oh,
And I
that's a
recorded
good
something
blooper.
for it, did record it, but I think I lost the footage a long
Oh,
time
that's a
ago.
shame. Like, you could do like a video where it's just like bloopers of you, like a updated bloopers list.
That could be it. It may or may not be in my scrapped Dinosaur Archipelago raw footage that I included. Like on my
Hmm.
second channel, you can see all the raw lost footage that I filmed for the movie that I never used. But that's all I got.
Right.
Those are all the weird, funny behind the scenes stories. Most of them actually most of my stories have to do with just me taking photos, but that's kind of the summary of it.
Yeah. Anyways, do you do stuff outside of YouTube?
Well, very much so. I mean, I'm a college student now, so there's definitely a life outside of making silly dinosaur videos.
Right.
In fact, that's kind of why my upload schedule has suffered, which is, to some extent, it is unfortunate, but It's also kind of part of life. Like it happened to Kakakaro
Yeah, it
34.
happened
It happened
to Kiki's though. It happened to, I guess, Matthew the Dinosaur King, but
Well, no, Matthew the Dinosaur King, it's actually he graduated college. It's more just work.
yeah, and he
But yes,
just
life
lost
gets in the
interest.
way.
Yeah,
But yeah, work gets in the way. And of course, the most famous example being Camosaurus.
yeah, and let's see where the new gen ends up though.
But we'll find out one day. I really hope that none of them get any rescinded scholarships from terrible dinosaur videos.
True. Anyway, speaking about your other platforms, what's your favorite photo that you have taken?
Favorite photograph? Oh, this is in reference to
Yeah,
Dinogram.
Dinogram, of course.
Dinogram. My favorite photo of all time. Now, it's a little hard, but I think my favorite photo still to this day is this photo I took about a year ago called A Height Unmatched. It
Mhm.
was my 200th Instagram post, and it's a misty photograph of collecting Mamenchisaurus. And I think it was the closest I ever got to really capturing the mysticism and the scale of a dinosaur, despite the fact it was a toy.
I mean, you
Like,
can
the lighting,
get really good with some techniques. I've seen like a lot of good people on Instagram take like really good toy photography though.
well, yeah, no dip. That's what I strive towards every day. But that picture was definitely one, like, I couldn't pick it apart. It's probably one of my images that I have no problems
Hmm.
with. There are a couple other fun ones, but we'd be here all day.
Right.
One of my default favorites is absolutely just any of my sunset photos I take in Arizona because it's just so
I
easy.
mean, Arizona's a really beautiful place though.
That's one that, ironically, despite the fact that I do post less, Arizona has given me a gold mine for dinosaur pictures, and I'm slowly getting around to posting all of them. So, guys, just be patient. I am so sorry.
You don't need to apologize to your fan base though.
You do, though.
True. What's the technique behind your photos? Like, is there any like process of like editing your photos? Like, what type of editor do you use and stuff like
I
that?
like I like to keep it raw. Like, I try letting the framing and the natural lighting do the talking. Like, usually I will tweak the lighting somewhat, and it'll, do thing include help fix things greatly. It will. But besides a little bit of like a little bit of light tricks and like all that, the only major editing that I actually do with my photographs has to do with the figure's seam lines and points of articulation. And for that, it's just a simple Adobe Photoshop mix on mobile, and then I just click the fill tool until you no longer see the seam lines or anything that would make it look like the figure is a toy. Try making the creature look more alive.
Right.
It also does
The
great for getting rid of paint chips.
Beast of the Mesozoic would be hard though.
Well, I've taken plenty of photographs of Mattel figures, and I have gotten rid of all the points of articulation and made it almost look organic. I'll admit my inspiration for finding out, for doing this and editing those very small little things, was Addy. Um,
Hmm.
Addy VB on Instagram. Some people also know him by his old name Nova Genesis. But he showed it off to me, and he even did an editing stream where he edited one of his photographs and showed off how he was getting rid of some of the very small flaws and making it just that much better. And I was just like, damn, I really got to step my game up. And I'll be honest, throughout my entire time as a photographer, I have always kind of looked up to him as a photographer because he's always felt like he was a step ahead of me. So every time like I figured out something, he already had something new for me to try and figure out as well. Also his lighting and his use of like natural disasters and natural
Hmm.
effects like storms,
Right.
lighting and mist
Like,
are really good.
okay. Sorry not to interrupt you, but I like taking inspiration from other photographers, especially for like, I'm starting to do a lot of photography myself, but like not toy photography, like of nature. I do get inspiration actually from your photography though.
Which ones in particular?
Like
Like, I do have a few
I
subsections.
really love like your desert photos or like your photos like obviously like the creek photos that you used to do. Though those were over edited though
That
sometimes.
is definitely something I've had to work on that I did slowly figure out is that there were some photos where I would just try too hard and I would kind of just be and I would end up just finding out that maybe the photo just wasn't that great to begin with.
Mhm.
But like a lot of my best photos, with the ironic exception of the high unmatched photo, which is very edited, very meticulously,
Right.
almost all my best ones were ones where I didn't really have to do a lot and took very minimal effort, and the scene just spoke for itself,
Mhm.
which I think is a good moral for photography, and that is less is more.
Yeah. I think that's a good lesson to do to talk to with any beginner photographer. Like I think you shouldn't over edit your photos when it comes to like nature, but like color correcting of course is a really like if your photograph comes out as like you have like a lot of negatives, a lot of dark spaces in your
There's
photo.
a difference between just polishing off a photo and adding and just tweaking a few
Hmm.
things and completely changing and adding a million filters and like HDR, which I used to spam a lot,
Oh yeah.
or like the sharpen tool, you know, like those kinds of traps.
Now, looking looping back to your channel, what would you do differently?
I would do a lot of things differently if I did get a second shot. Mainly just never make certain types of videos that I deeply regret, especially drama related videos from like 2019 and 2018. I also would really like to revisit the videos that I did make that I thought had good ideas, but I didn't have the talent to make them good,
Right.
such as the Venomorph series, and early episodes of shows like My Opinion on Every Figure, which is actually why I started remaking them
Yeah, so
because
Papu is next though.
yes, depending on how fast you edit this video, cough cough, I might have I may have my opinion on every Papo figure out before you get this video out.
Well, it really
So,
depends.
yeah, it really does depend. Hmm.
I mean, this is mostly gonna be unedited though, but
But even with unedited videos, there's still missing videos that you've yet to release, like
co-
the Kaw interview.
but this will be episode 7 because I have to redo the call interview because I was unsatisfied with that. Anyways, like
This is too easy.
another question, what's the idea that you wanted to do but couldn't?
Well, the most obvious one would be Dinosaur Archipelago the movie, but at the same time, the actual idea I had for Dinosaur Archipelago the movie was not very good. Or if well, it wasn't awful. It was about
Right.
a dinosaur who gets stranded and he has to get back to the mainland.
That
Kind of
that
like a pod.
yeah, that
That's
kind of sounds like a Land Before Time plot though, or a
no. I was thinking more Pods
oh
Travels,
really?
especially considering that it was a small theropod, a D long, not a Pyroraptor, but pretty close. Um,
The next Dino King movie just have fucking Specklesatosaurus's grandchild just wash up into fucking North America and
I mean,
Speckles has to
not.
rescue.
I mean, it hasn't stopped them from using North American dinosaurs before, despite it being set in Cretaceous Korea.
Yeah. Okay.
Speckles is such a weird movie. I have a
Yeah.
underlying. I respect it in a weird way, but I also do admit it's not the best made movie. It's kind of it's good because it's so flawed and so confusing with its
Yeah.
tone.
Especially for like how much fanfare there is. I really love how Rick after just tear it, just shreds it to apart.
I feel like dinosaur critics and movie critics, like, I do get a little irked by how sometimes genuinely offended dinosaur movie watchers are when regular critics say, this movie sucks. Like, you can like
Mhm.
your own movies, but like there are movies I love and think are amazing, but I also am very well aware are not the most objectively greatest pieces of art.
Mm.
Like Godzilla, I don't exactly expect it to be given universal praise and like video essays
I
and all that
mean,
other
you just
stuff,
expect like big monster fight, humans suck. That's
but that's
basically.
fun.
I mean,
That's fun.
yeah, that's fun.
Like God,
Goofy shit though. Like,
like Godzilla Final Wars is one of my favorite Godzilla movie of all
mhm.
time, but I have never seen a methodical video essay on why it's a true masterpiece, and
Like
I don't need it.
you're not gonna see a video essay why Godzilla 1998 is the best film ever made. Actually, I think
No, no,
no,
there are someone's done that before.
probably or like probably some like more obscure Godzilla film, like why Godzilla vs. Mothra was the best made.
No, dude, remember? No, many years back there was why Zilla in 1998 is better than Shin Godzilla. It has been done before.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though. I've seen like a lot of love and hate for Zilla a lot. Like, oh, I love Godzilla 1998, or you just have the other
It's pretty
spectrum.
easy. Zilla's cool, but it's not Godzilla. End of story. Good movie on its own, just shouldn't have had the Godzilla title. All right, we're done.
All right, next question. Another question. What's idea? Or wait, sorry, I'm gonna edit that out. Uh, do you regret any videos that you have made in the past?
Tons. There are tons of videos that I regret. If I didn't have any videos to regret, every video I've ever made would have still been public. But I can safely say that at least 20 or 30 videos that I've made over my lifetime, maybe even more than that, have been taken down because I'm just not proud of it.
Especially your old like sketchy analytics videos.
Well, yeah, because I wasn't exactly smart enough to be an analysis guy. People used to say that was the best video I ever made. No, it sucked. Rise and Fall of DinoTube was a total catastrophe. It started out good, it just crashed. Like it started out all right when it was meant to be a comprehensive history of DinoTube, but when it became basically just a Kiki hate video, that's when I was really wrong, royally
And you
wrong.
didn't even cover like a lot of like 2018 to 2020. You just focus on like Kiki's a little bad.
Yeah, my intentions were not good. I could have made a great video, but it was very clearly made with ill intent.
I mean,
And
I mean there could be
that's why
like
I hate that
a
video.
I mean there could be a really good video of history of the DinoTube community, but
They're
eh.
good. I could be the one to make it. Maybe not. Probably not. No.
I like how you just say
But
probably not to know like so fast. Like probably, probably not, probably no.
yeah, because I am not interested in making false promises more than I've already have. A lot of other I have gotten rid of a lot of other videos. Most of them are comedy or rant videos. That's basically the majority of it. The comedy videos I got rid of because I made jokes that I'm not
Mhm.
proud of. I consider that some people could perceive as offensive
Right,
or
like
just downright mean-spirited or
or
unfunny.
racist or just homophobic.
I, I don't think I had too many of those though. I think most of the bad jokes that I made were just flat out mean spirited. I think that was the main issue. I think the only jokes that I made that I know were like not good towards like race or LGBTQ was I made my satire project where where I just make fun of gender identity in a very
Oh
transphobic
God,
way.
I like
Which
I,
is ironic
I'm
considering
glad
that I
that
was a theater
we
kid.
I'm glad that we grown from that though. Like I
Well,
kinda
yeah.
hate the past self. Like many beliefs I had as a 13-year-old slash 14-year-old.
No one like if you like your 13-year-old self, something's wrong with you. That's
Exactly.
the summary of it. But like most of the bad jokes relating to like ethnicity or like orientation, I think almost all the ones I ever made were just like I identify as an attack helicopter.
Oh,
Not the
that
worst things in the world, but also stuff that you should
that
never
was
be
that was
proud
so
of.
stupid.
And
Like
just in
that joke was so fucking stupid though.
it was something that should have stayed in 2016. But in
Exactly.
short, I there's a lot of jokes that like
Mm.
I've made a lot of very sporadic and impulsive jokes that I am just not happy with. I got rid of them because I don't think it represents me well and I don't want that to continue to haunt me.
Right. Now, for the future of your channel, do you know what you want to do for the future of Some Stupid Sketch Show Guy as a channel, as a brand? Not really a brand, but you know what I mean.
The future of some stupid sketch show guy is very much in limbo. I like to consider myself semi-retired as a
Hmm.
dino tuber because while I still do make videos and I do plan on still making videos, I feel like what I was at my prime, like 2021, 2022, where I was able to bust out a great video every week for like, a certain amount of time, that is gone. Like that, weekly dino tuber just isn't going to happen anymore. And that's okay because I have bigger things in my life than I did back when COVID started
Right.
or when I was a high school
Like we've
senior.
changed so much, but this goes into the other question. Do you know what your future holds in general?
My future holds in general. Well, I think the biggest thing when it comes to like my future and the reason why I do not have as much time to make dinosaur videos as very common as almost every dino tuber has ever said that phrase. That did not come out right. Whatever, you get the point. Every dino tuber has said at some point, I don't have time for dinosaur videos because life is getting in the way. For me, that's going to college.
I think that's like general burnout of like making the same type of content. I think that's like a given when you're creating YouTube content.
There's only so many times I can make a dinosaur explode or pull out a gun, which is a lot, which is something I hate to admit I do a lot in
I
my
mean, that was
dinosaur
just
videos
that was
because
like a kind of trope for you though.
it is a trope because it's the easiest and it's the easiest form of comedy. It was what people came for. They're all like, "Hey, Sketchy, I really love your explosions. I really love when that dinosaur exploded. I really love when that dinosaur pulled out a revolver and shot him in the head." Like people liked that kind of sporadic, dark, violent comedy.
True. Now, do you know what kind of career you want to do that you're studying in college?
It is not dinosaurs, and I've told plenty of people this, but I've never really said it in a public video before,
Mhm.
but my major is animal sciences with an emphasis in racetrack industry, which is a fancy way of saying I'm majoring in the sport of horse racing. You know, the Kentucky Derby, horses running around in dirt and turf circles. You know, the most exciting thing on earth. Half
I
sarcastic.
feel like some people wouldn't say that exciting though. It's just like, oh, he's
That's why
just
I was half sarcastic. It's exciting for me, but yeah, no, horse racing is not for everybody.
it's special for like dino tubers. Like, I just want to see some dinosaurs fight.
That's not even. It has nothing to do with this.
I know.
That was, that was so weird. That was,
I was just comparing because
but yeah, for most dino tubers,
I feel like most YouTubers aren't interested in racing. I think they prefer dinosaurs like fighting over
well,
watching
no,
horse
no
racing.
shit, Sherlock. Well, but ironically, horses and dinosaurs do actually sometimes come together. Like, it's actually not very uncommon to see those interests come together. Maybe it's like, this is such a weird thing to say, but I feel like horses and dinosaurs are some of the most common special interests with people on the autism spectrum, which is by coincidence something that I have, and because of that, I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's the therapeutic things that horses can
Right.
and the pure awesomeness of dinosaurs. But there are plenty of people that I know
I feel like there's
that
a
are
un
neurodivergent.
oh sorry. I'll go first. I feel like there's an untapped market of like horse and dinosaur content though. Like we kind of saw that in like Dominion with Owen on a fucking horse chasing some paros, you know?
I guess maybe not together, but like there's a surprising amount of similarities when it comes to dinosaurs and horses,
Alright.
even within the toy communities, with Schleich toy movies and dinosaur toy movies both going incredibly viral.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a not so coincidental thing that I think a lot of
Mhm.
neurodivergent people enjoy both things. The only reason why I think I'm allowed to say this at all is because I'm one of those people.
I think you definitely have some experiences. You're definitely a expert in this thing because I am not a horse racing guy myself.
You're not, yeah, you definitely are right. Then again, there isn't really any Dinotuber who's really into horse racing besides me, and the general consensus whenever I talk about it is that I have no idea what you're saying, but I'm happy for you, and I'm glad that you're making a real career out of it,
Basically,
which I think is the best response that I could have
it's
got.
just like
But
comparing it to like, oh, I want to become a paleontologist to someone who's like in the horse racing community or who's interested in horses.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, if you flip the results, you could get the same thing, or even just like you talk to a random person and you say, "I want to be a paleontologist and dig up dinosaurs." You'll get a similar reaction to if you say something like horse racing, not necessarily because they have anything similar, but just because they're different. They're
Mhm.
professions that aren't the most commonly talked about. No one's like, "I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up." When they mention general careers, they always say doctor, plumber, constructor,
YouTuber.
destructor, politician, uh, dictator, shit like that.
Or who wants to be a dictator though? Dictators are overrated.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Probably like some like edgy ass kid though.
No, no shit. That was a one-off joke, and now you're actually trying to explain it.
Rexine trying to explain sketchy jokes. V2.
Yeah, actually, kind of ironically, one of the people in my racetrack industry program, which is the program that does this, ironically, they also are interested in dinosaurs and neurodivergent just like me. While they aren't necessarily into horse racing, they're actually into greyhounds. It's the same difference. They're into animals running around in circles, but coincidentally also have a Jurassic Park style car. So that's actually so my theory continues to check out.
Yeah. Actually, speaking about your horse interests, where did your passion come from for horses? Like, why did you get so into horses? I know that
Because it
was.
was a form of therapy for me. In kindergarten, I was considered a rather unruly and bitter and angry child. I bit people. But I did have my interests and I did have my desires. Back then, it was dinosaurs and whales, actually. But they suggested that horse riding could be a form of therapy for me. So that's when I started riding horses, and horse racing kind of came right behind it because my grandmother and my mom used to live near Belmont Park and Aqueduct, which are famous racing tracks in New York. And they went there during the 70s, which was the golden age of horse racing. So while they didn't necessarily follow horse racing now, they still knew about it and actually would
Mhm.
sometimes watch it. So after one viewing at Grandma's house, that was all I needed. I was set.
You just found your dream job.
Pretty much.
Now,
And
I
most
mean, it's pretty intriguing that you got your interest from like, it's like your own little origin story though.
I mean, everyone does have a unique origin story. Even you do. Even an average Joe. Even my roommate. He has a origin story. It's just different from what I have. But yes, that is my Peter Parker origin story.
Yeah. Now, changing the topic back to dinosaurs. After being a Dinotuber for so long, do you have any advice for new gen Dinotubers or people who are just entering the community?
All I'm gonna say is that I could give the most insightful advice in the world, but no one's gonna listen to it or realize what I've said until they grow old enough to be like, oh, I screwed up. That's how it always works. Every generation will always, warn the next generation about mistakes and things that you shouldn't do. But the only way you will learn is the hard way.
Hmm.
And that is the best advice I can think of is you're going to learn the hard way. You're going to do some stupid shit. You're
I
going to regret a lot of things, but you'll become a better person, and you still will make tons of great memories.
It's just you're probably gonna regret so many videos.
Yeah, like anyone, you will regret things.
Except if you're
There,
Spino Dude. Spino Dude does not. I'm sure you read something, but his
well,
content's.
that's because Spino Dude joined DinoTube when he was an adult. You know, when he wasn't a developing teenager. If you join DinoTube and you're like 13, you are guaranteed to fuck up at least once.
Yeah,
And
that's a given.
that's just how it's gonna be. And you're just gonna have to find a way to live with yourself.
Hmm. Now, for the next question, any funny behind the scenes that you could share with us?
I think we already just talked about this question. But there is an old blooper video of mine where I was filming a dinosaur, and used to have this old handle that would hold my phone in place. I have gotten a better one since, but I used to have a handle thing that I broke off a tripod that would hold my phone, and the way it worked is that you pulled it up slowly like a spring, but as soon as you let go, it would snap back to normal. So the only way it would be pushed apart and was to be holding the phone. I guess that was supposed to be to give it extra grip,
Hmm.
but what happened was it broke off. Well, not broke off. It bounced off. It lost its grip, so it shut, and it clipped onto my finger.
Ooh, that must have hurt though.
It did. It did. I even have the video of it, of the aftermath. It actually isn't that bad. Like, no blood was drawn or anything. It just was a pinch.
Oh, did it like break off your fingernail or anything?
No, it actually hit the first segment of my finger, not my fingernail,
Uh,
right below my fingerprint.
it wouldn't hurt if it like hit your fingernail though. I could like imagine the pain though. Like, ugh.
That actually does make me cringe a bit because yeah, the fingernail is a surprisingly sensitive part of the body.
Same
I
with
think if it did, it probably would slide off.
true. Same with like your finger, not fingernail. Same with your funny bone.
But why the hell would it land there?
True.
But
No.
in short, that's the only real filming behind the scenes blooper that I still remember to this day, which is getting my finger pinched.
Yeah. So we have more questions because me, Rex King, actually came prepared for once.
I don't know about that, but keep going.
So, does anyone know that you make dinosaur content?
Not a lot of people. I've told a couple people, especially ones that I
Hmm.
trust and are well aware of all of my little quirks. So it's definitely not an opener for me. A lot more people in college know me as the horse racing kid before they know me as the dino kid, but I have definitely mentioned offhandedly to some people, oh yeah, I used to make dinosaur videos. I usually tell them that some of those videos I'm not very proud of, but I still had fun making them. And so far, I've yet to have someone tell me, wow, that sucks. Kill yourself, you weirdo. So far, people have been generally accepting of it, and you know what? That's all I can really ask for. At worst, they'll just be like, okay, but that's not awful. Most of the time, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. They really like the photographs. Whenever I show them the photographs and dioramas, they're like, dude, that looks lifelike. That's great.
I think if dinosaurs became actually mainstream, or like dinosaur figure collecting became mainstream, I think like
It never would be.
true. I think it's gonna be more of a niche part of society though.
That's how any kind of toy collecting is supposed to be. It's a part of geek culture.
I mean, we're more on the fringes of geek culture, I think.
Whatever the fuck that means.
On the like smaller side, like on the like
Oh
for
yeah, we
example.
are definitely tiny. We are tiny, but we still will always exist. There's always gonna be kids who like dinosaurs. I mean, hell, I've met one other person at my college who has dinosaur figures. And stuffed animals, and briar horses, and statues, and a lot of things.
So we are uncommon, basically.
Uncommon, but never extinct. Unlike the dinosaurs, because they're dead, except for birds.
That's probably gonna get clipped out of context. Anyways, How do people perceive you if they know about your dinosaur content?
Well, I just kind of went over that. The worst they say is usually they just give me a weird look and there's like, okay. But most of the time they're surprisingly supportive, like, yeah, that's cool. You're expressing yourself in your own unique way. Or they're surprised, like, wow, you actually got 5,000 subscribers doing this, or other shit like that, where they're just like, well, that's cool. Especially towards like my dinosaur photos, they're always people. No one has hated on my dinosaur photography yet, which is nice to hear.
Yeah. I think people will find it cool though. Like people who aren't in the community.
I feel like if you the way I see it and the reason why I feel like no one has given me shit for being a dinosaur collector at one point in my life is because whenever I am pushed about it and I do reveal it, I don't act ashamed of it.
Hmm. You're not
The
like
more ashamed or
you don't try to hide it like, oh, I create dinosaur content for or I used to create dinosaur content for a living. It
yeah,
does change who I am. It's just part of my life.
yeah, like while I do definitely still try my best never to mention it willingly, whenever it does
Hmm.
come up, I'll proudly admit and say, "Yeah, I do this. This is what I've done, and hope you like it."
Right.
And they, even though they may not understand what I am doing, they can usually admire the confidence and the oddly specific desire.
Okay, next question. Do you have any quarrels with new gen DinoTube compared to old gen DinoTube?
Old Gen DinoTube, I feel like was never perfect, but nothing ever is. The only reason why I don't have any problems with it now is simply just because of recency bias. So I can tell you a lot more about, say, modern DinoTube because I remember it way better. And I don't hate modern DinoTube as much as other people do. I think that modern DinoTube is still fun, and actually quite a few new DinoTubers are very imaginative and add a lot of new things to it,
Right.
which is pretty nice. Although it is definitely safe to say that the drama side of DinoTube, I'm not going to say has gotten worse because do not know or really remember well enough the drama of old, but god damn it, it sucks. It doesn't really matter. The short summary of it, the short and skippy of what modern DinoTube is like, is that there are a bunch of older DinoTubers that have some ambition, and even some younger new DinoTubers that are also ambitious and really nice people. But there's also just a subsection of crazy people just threatening each other.
Just there's always toxic people in any community. It just
Yeah,
boils
like
down to that.
there's always gonna be awful people. But I will admit that some of the lengths that this has
Mhm.
gone to with with like some dinotubers confessing that they've hurt other people physically, like they physically have assaulted people over anger from like, this drama community, really concerns me.
It kind of
We
concerns.
should chop this down significantly because this was really unorganized.
Yeah.
But I don't mind modern dinotube, but it's very
Mhm.
cracked.
Do you prefer this era of DinoTube over the other?
I think it would be too easy to say I prefer the good old days. I feel like I would like to revisit the good old days at least one more
Hmm.
time in my current state, but there was a time for everything.
Right. We can't
I
time
although
travel.
yeah, there was a time for everything. I feel like the peak of DinoTube was before I ever joined it. When like dinosaur videos and series got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and even millions of views. That just doesn't really happen anymore. Although it actually did get pretty close. Like there was an episode of Saurian Isle that got over 50,000 views, which is a very recent Dinosaur Island type show. And actually, it's more views than the last like 7 Dinosaur Island episodes, which is kind of interesting. So people still are interested in like dinosaur toy shows. Clearly, there is an audience for them. We just
Right.
gotta find it somehow.
It's
In
just
short,
it's just how you execute it. I think there hasn't been any really ambitious DI type series really, other than like Oscar.
I think the problem really is just that everyone who has an ambitious idea doesn't have the time to make it, and people who don't have ambitious ideas just make garbage videos. Like The people that have the most time in the world in DinoTube are usually the worst content creators, and the ones that actually have the talent to
I
do
mean, I
so
wouldn't say
are
that
using their
though.
talent to do better things.
I wouldn't say that though, because I've seen like a lot of creators that have a lot of time do really cool stuff.
Of course what I'm saying is a generalization,
I
so
mean,
it's not
it's
100%
more
true,
like a gray area.
but I think it is a but I feel like there is some truth to that. That usually the people who have the most time are people that are younger, and because of that, they have not had as much time to mature and also develop their
Right,
skills, so they make worse videos and sometimes cesspools of
right.
content.
Well, speaking of your own cesspool, why did you private some of your Claw and Order videos?
That one's pretty simple, and I've never really wanted to say it, but it's simply just because I just don't like what it's become, and I also am just not proud of some of the jokes made in it. It mostly is just to clean up my YouTube
Hmm.
channel before I went to college, because I am generally a big overthinker and even a bit of a paranoid person,
I mean,
and
I
because of
overthink a
that,
lot though. Like, you have to,
everyone does.
it's part of human nature.
But because of that, I have definitely went through a lot of effort to scrub my YouTube channels to try and get a better image. It is like it does sound kind of shallow, but it is true and it's honest. It is mostly
I mean,
just
you're just cleaning up your digital footprint though.
that's basically what it is. That is basically the summation of it. And it's mainly
Hmm.
just because the sport of horse racing and what I desire to do in there is very professional. And sometimes some stupid sketch show guy, I feel like shows off my unprofessional side, and sometimes it's fun, but other times I
Hmm.
feel like it just doesn't make me look good.
Right.
And I'm just not proud, and I want to like give off the impression that maybe I'm a little silly from time to time, but I'm also a serious and committed guy. But
Mhm.
it's mostly just to save face.
It's just to save like your uh what's it called? Your whole entire like I guess your appearance, like if your college's background checks you or your work. Anyways, are you done with Clone Order?
I think for now I am. Like, I don't think like every I have thought about a couple of ideas for Claw and Order episodes. I've had other ideas for possible Claw and
Mm-hmm.
Order videos, but I never made them because I thought it would have been funny in the moment, but then I would have backtracked. And that's what I
Yeah.
do a lot with those kinds of videos. I think it's funny in the moment, but because I'm doing something that I feel is slightly controversial, and nowadays that's something I'm trying to disassociate myself from,
Mm.
I'm just like, you know what? In the long term, this video isn't worth it, and that's something I never had before. That's that kind of
Right.
afterthought.
I certainly agree with you. I like trying to make a Clone Order video that ages well is kind of hard. I think the
It is
sponsors,
like
the King one, definitely aged well though.
that one. That was the first, and it was the best. That was the first and the best Claw and Order episode because it was simple, goofy, and not really very mean spirited at all. It was just a parody of Revenge of the Sith. You
Mhm.
know, like it was just a simple joke.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the other Claw and Orders, they talk about very mature subjects in a very immature manner that could be conceived as insensitive,
Right.
especially when I'm talking about such infamous and horrible people in a very inaccurate
Mhm.
and insensitive oversimplification.
Almost not penultimate question, but the second to last question. Do you have any plans of streaming again?
That I do not think so. I feel like streaming and basically unfiltered content is my worst content. Even this interview, I feel like sometimes I just poorly executed the way I wanted to say things. And
Right.
that's the thing I don't like about live or unfiltered content. It's just that I feel like editing's there for a reason. I like being able to, think hard about what I want to say and,
Mhm.
being meticulous and getting my message across.
I mean, you
When
have to
I
be
do this
like
all for the
tenacious and like editing your videos though.
yeah, but it's worth it. But like with these kinds of videos where it's like raw and stuff, there are definitely times where immediately afterward I'm like, I could have said that better. I didn't get my point across as well as I wished. It's more or less just me being hard on myself, but I'm a guy who always has done better when I do things over and over again, and I'm never the best on my first draft. So so I don't think I'll do live streaming because I'm not good on my feet when it comes to entertaining people. I'm better when I have an idea in mind and I take my time with it.
You're like a director, oddly enough. You're like a movie director trying to like cut, cut, cut. That wasn't very good.
I guess so.
Oddly enough. And the final to last question, do you have anything else that you want to bring back? Like either like dinosaur achievements, like your older series that you want to bring back?
If there's one thing I would have wanted to do, it probably would be to remake Dinosaur Archipelago. It was the first series I ever made, and you know what? It was a nice product of its time, but it sucks. I am happy with how I did the Dinosaur Archipelago shorts though. But I think just those old series where I used to actually make dinosaur series and not just skits, rants, and all that other terrible stuff I used to make in 2018 and 2019. That stuff I wish I could bring back because it actually does make me kind of
I mean,
nostalgic.
if you have like the time, if you had the
I
time,
don't.
if you
I
had,
don't, and I especially don't have the motivation for it.
if you had the
Like,
motivation and time, I think you could make something great
I,
there.
I could do it, but that's just, I just do not think it's destined to happen. I've had a great time in DinoTube, and while I do definitely have enemies and people who admire me, I am happy I am a part of this community because it did teach me a lot about myself and also really helped build my character as a human being.
It's
And while I'm certainly
definitely,
not perfect,
well, you're certainly not perfect. Like
I
you,
never will be. No one will be. But I know I'm certainly a way better person than I was when I started this community. And it's kind of weird that this community of dinosaur toys has made me a much more self aware, self accountable, and reflective person.
I definitely agree.
And I think it's most obvious and I think it most comes out when I see people in modern DinoTube who make similar mistakes to me. And I look at them and I'm like, you know what? That used to be me. And now they'll have to go through the same shit I did.
Well, you don't know how they'll turn out.
I don't, but best case scenario, they do kind of become this kind of like, man, I used to suck back in the day kind of person, and they turn out to
Mhm.
be somebody really awesome later down the line. Like, as much as I was really, shitting on like young and drama filled dino tubers
Mhm.
that are making bad content, in a few years, for all I know, they could all become very nice and respectable people.
Yeah.
And that would be nice, and I'd be willing to put what they did in the past behind them if they did
Mhm.
become that. But right now, they're in the learning stage, and that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Overall, I think this was a good, I guess, expose on like your whole entire history of your channel, oddly enough.
Pretty much, honestly. That is kind of what I wanted this to be. Sort of like a self reflection, considering that this year, my YouTube channel turns a incredible 7 years old.
Yeah, and we don't know if you're leaving it or not. Who knows?
I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do. All I know is that I will keep making content as long as I want to, and I will know when it's over. I will know when I truly have no more ideas I want to do, no more quests to conquer, all that other fancy stuff.
Right. I think this is a good book ending to the interview. I think,
That's the story of some stupid sketch show guy people, told in a very not comprehensive, unfiltered, and not very well formatted way.
I mean, it's just kind of goes with the podcast style, though.
Yeah, I tried my best.
I think what makes podcasts appealing though is like the whole style of it, but I don't want to drag on too long. So whoever's watching towards the end, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. It's probably to the similar length of the old podcast. Actually, no, it's actually 25, actually 17 minutes shorter than the last interview. So I hope you guys enjoyed this our interview with some SomeStupidSketchShowGuy. Any other closing remarks before we end the podcast?
Be good.
Alright, that was his final words until he died. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this style of content. It was more of a experiment, I guess, or like a reboot of what I could do with the Mesozoic podcast. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rex King signing out. Please, I guess comment down below what was your favorite part. And Rex King signing out. Goodbye.